Welcome back, SethBling here, and I'm back on the MindCrack server, and what you're looking at is the NCC 1701 USS Enterprise D. That's nerd lingo for the ship from Star Trek, The Next Generation. I built it near my base, and I will explain why, but first let's take a look. Okay, so I actually used some lamps on the bottom side to kind of represent the lights that are on, I think they're like quarters or offices or something. And then there's, I used actually new colored glass from the snapshot for the warp nacelles and everything. Let me try and get around to the side. I know it doesn't look perfect, but I think I did a decent job. And so the reason I've built this starship over my base, well, it's not quite over my base. You'll notice it's actually over the taiga biome that I built this bridge to in the last episode. And the reason I built this is basically in the snapshots, the 1.7 snapshots, the taiga biome here doesn't snow anymore, doesn't freeze ice anymore, which makes me kind of sad because I built my base next to this biome so that I could have access to ice trays and just a snow biome. Thought that would be useful. So it doesn't snow on the ground anymore, but if you go way up in the sky above y equals 128, it does still snow and water still freezes. So I still want to build my ice tray near my base, so I decided let's build something up in the sky so that I would have somewhere to put an ice tray, and the USS Enterprise seemed like as good a thing as any. So I have, there's no way up, there's no ladder or anything. You have to beam up. You have to go through nether portals to beam up into the ship. So I built a little extra nether portal over here. So I have one portal here, and then I actually have another portal up there. So this portal takes us to the ship, and then the ship takes us to that portal. I have two portals because there's some portals in the ceiling that were interfering with this whole thing. I'm a little bit worried that the fact that we have a new nether hub here and then portals in the ceiling, I think the portals are going to start interlinking in bad ways. I think they may already be doing that. So, but that's a problem that we as a server are going to have to deal with as time goes on. So here we are on top of the ship. You can see all the warp nacelles here a little bit closer. I don't know if I can really get a good view of the deflector dish. Am I a nerd? I might be a nerd. Here's the deflector dish. Here's the warp nacelles. So it uses that colored glass, the stained glass. It looks okay. I'm kind of hoping that they'll change how that looks in upcoming snapshots. I think they probably will, but that's what it looks like for now. So up here, I've basically set up an area for my ice tray. And okay, so this is going to be a redstone powered ice tray, of course. We're in the Enterprise. If it wasn't advanced and technical, what would we even be doing here? So basically this area with the spruce wood is where there's going to be a bunch of ice, and that's going to get pushed in by pistons. So there's going to be it's actually going to be multi-layered. It's going to be 7 blocks high, and it's 13 blocks deep, I think, and 20 blocks wide. And all of that should be fillable with ice while I'm not here, and then I can come by and just grab a silk touch pick and knock it all out. So I should have lots of supplies of ice to do that. I need to make sure that I don't light up this area because the light will melt the ice. So I've used half slabs to prevent mobs from spawning and snow from covering it up. Although the snow wouldn't actually be a problem. It's just I guess I'm a little OCD. So basically I'm going to have a row of pistons on top of these blocks here that I'm placing. I've built this thing out of wood because I want to make sure that I don't accidentally swing with my silk touch pick and like knock out part of the Enterprise. That seems bad. But so yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a row of these pistons. Let me just make sure. Ooh. Uh-oh. Looks like I have to relog. Be right back. Okay, I think should be fixed now. Yeah, every once in a while that's been happening, and the item isn't popping. I'm still getting lag, I think. There we go. So I don't know if the server's lagging, one of these guys maybe. But yeah, sometimes that happens where the item will just pop back right away, and the only thing to do seems to be to relog. So basically I'm going to have a row of 20 pistons like this, but it's going to go 7 blocks high, and that's going to get fed through a little piston chain from an ice tray that's up at the top. So there's actually only going to be 20 blocks of ice, or 20 spots where ice can freeze. And but yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and fill up this wall, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so the whole wall is done now. I'm going to have to build some stuff above. Of course, it's always snowing on the MindCrack server. I guess it's always raining on the MindCrack server, but at this particular point in time, I am in a place where it snows. One thing I do want to note is snow looks kind of funky in the snapshot when you look at it through a portal. It looks like basically the snow particles aren't getting blended with the portal. And so you can see them. You can see right through the portal. Basically, the snow particles are just very, very visible. So I thought that was kind of cool. Although it'll probably be fixed. It looks like a bug. But I'm gonna wait till it stops snowing to continue. All right, it just stopped snowing. I've wired up the back of these so that I can trigger all of the pistons by basically just powering this line. So I've got top slabs, basically a top slab staircase of redstone. And each one has these repeaters set to 8 ticks. And the delay is actually important because I'm going to want to trigger some other stuff before I trigger the pistons. But if I put a clock down here, this will probably lag the server. So, because I'm going to be pushing and pulling the pistons, there will be a small bit of lag for a few seconds. Okay, so we're just going to do it. I'm not going to do it for very long, but we can see all the pistons going in and out. Great, okay. I'm going to turn it off. Alright, so so I'm basically, that's going to cause a little bit of lag. It's actually, it doesn't seem to be too bad on the server. It's mostly the client doesn't like it a lot, but that's only going to trigger every couple minutes. So it's only going to be while I'm in the area actually loading the chunks. So it's not really going to be that much of a problem for the server. It should be much less of a problem than, say, like a mob system. This is not actually that bad. So I am concerned about the lag, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. Okay, so but we're going to have a much longer clock on this as well. It's like I said, it's only going to happen every couple minutes. Okay, so we need to put some more stuff up there. I think I'm just going to tower up. And I'll destroy these blocks on the way back down or something. Maybe I actually need to put a ladder up here or something. First thing I want to do... Okay, so basically I'm going to be pushing... I'm going to be pushing the ice downwards so that it can be pushed by these pistons. So I guess the first thing I need to do is make those downwards facing pistons. So I'm going to need, let's see, it's going to be underneath this block here is where the piston's going to be. But I can't actually reach that from here. So I'm just going to put a bunch of blocks here, and then I'm going to go underneath and place the pistons from, yeah, that's right, from above, or sorry, from below. So I'll be right back once those pistons are placed. Okay, I actually realized that the pistons need to actually be 1 block higher than I was just showing. I always do these off by 1 things when I'm working with pistons because I forget that the piston plus the piston arm takes up space. So the piston's going to be up here, the ice is going to start here and get pushed down so that it can be pushed by the pistons. You'll see what I mean. But I should actually be able to, I think I can place, I might still have to go beneath in order to place the piston correctly, because yeah, I'm still going to have to do that, so I'll be right back. Okay, I realized once more that they needed to be moved up again. This is slightly different than the design that I tried out in my test world, because the redstone is flush with the pistons here rather than 1 block lower, and it affects the design. So I've got these here, and basically the reason why is that I'm going to need blocks here and here in order to make this work. So yeah. If the pistons were 1 block if these pistons were 1 block lower, I wouldn't be able to put a block here, and this is going to trap water in. So it's really important that 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 it's there. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the whole water system, and then I'll be back one more time. All right, so I filled in the last of the pistons here. So this is the row where the ice is actually going to spawn. And then so the pistons are going to push it over here, and then these pistons are going to push down, and then the big row of pistons is going to push forward. And when a row of ice fills up, it'll go down to the next row, etc. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and just fill in this area with water. Just flood it all. I think, yeah, I should be able to just pick up sources. So this shouldn't be too hard. Basically, I can do it like this and just move the row of source. So I don't actually have to go travel to a source block anywhere or anything. This should do it. So then I am going to need to cover up all this water because, I mean, this stuff is going to freeze if I just leave it out. So I'll have to do that. I'm also going to probably want to use a lot of slabs on top of this whole thing. Let's see, did we get it? So yeah, this whole thing is now source blocks. So we can see the ice starting to form. Now I don't want this stuff to form into ice here. This stuff is supposed to basically replenish the water source blocks. Let me just replenish that. Once this stuff all gets pushed off. So I'm going to go ahead and just cover the whole thing up with slabs. And slabs will be nice because I won't have to light it up. I guess I could have just placed it along here. Uh-oh. I'll just make sure I go along and unfreeze this stuff as necessary. Although I think actually not all of this has to be covered because... or sorry, not all of them have to be source blocks because it'll still make its way across probably without it. Anyway, so we're going to cover it up, and the only stuff that can... Whoopsies. The only stuff that can turn to ice is the stuff that's exposed to sunlight, basically, or the air. So only this row now can actually turn into ice. And it should turn into ice pretty quick because it's got a block next to it. And that helps speed up the process of ice formation. So now I just have to finish up the redstone. It shouldn't be too bad. I don't really want to use torches here, so sorry if the video is a little bit dark. But we're going to have a 4-tick repeater going into the top pistons here. So I'm kind of filling in the redstone in reverse order. The first thing that I connected up was all the pistons in the big wall, which is the last thing that I want to happen. This is the second thing that I want to happen out of the 3. And so I'm going to have a 4-tick delay coming off of that. And then the first thing that I want to happen, I think I'm actually going to need some repeaters here. So just to make sure that the signal actually makes it all the way around. The first thing that I want to happen is that the pistons over here push. So I think if I do it like this on each side, we should be good. Looks like I'm out of redstone, but luckily I brought a redstone block. Yeah, it's handy. It's a nice, it's a very compact way to store redstone if you're using lots of redstone for a build. Okay, so I do this, and everything should be hooked up. Now there's going to be between these pistons pushing and these downwards pistons pushing, there should be 2 ticks of delay, which is enough for the ice to, or basically enough for the ice to get over there so that the pistons could push down. So, and then the walls should all work. I think this should all be done. I will come back later and cover this all up with slabs to make sure that mobs don't spawn on it, because mobs can spawn on redstone, I'm pretty sure. Built these ladders here for ease of access. So let's see. I think it should work. I'm going to go ahead and just, let's grab a torch, and I'm going to power this. And I think it worked. Yeah. So you can see only the spots that had ice managed to basically push out the contents, but I guess there was a lot of ice formed. That's really good. Yeah. So if I do this every couple minutes, I should have most of those spots filling up with ice. Let's go back up and make sure that all those spots filled back in with water source blocks, because we're not going to form more ice. But it looks like, yeah, everything is still. This is all water source blocks. So at this point, the only thing I have left to do is make a clock that'll trigger this thing every couple minutes. and then it should be good to go, and it should give me lots of ice to mine with my pick. So the clock design I'm going to use is going to be a hopper clock design that I came up with way back when hoppers were first being introduced. And let's see, let's get some, I'm going to lay it out before I do anything. So I'm going to have a monostable circuit coming off of it, and that's going to take about 4 blocks. So I'm going to do something like, I think the amount of space it takes up is like this. It's like a plus sign that's 2 blocks per pixel, or whatever, however you want to say it. But let's see. So then at this point, I need hoppers, and basically it's going to be a loop of hoppers, and they're all going to be pointing into each other. And then each hopper is going to freeze the next hopper that it's pointing at. So I'm going to need comparators, and the comparators are going to be, I like this because it's rotationally symmetric and it looks, I think that looks nice. Okay, so then there's that. Same thing on every side, and then just dust, and it should be a clock. We'll test it out in a second to make sure it is, because you never know. Okay, so then if I put, say, 5 pieces of cobblestone in here, we can see which comparator turns on, it kind of loops, and so this one's turning on every couple seconds. I don't know. If I go ahead and put in a whole stack, it's going to take a lot longer for this clock to go around. Basically, everything from this hopper is going into this one, and it gets frozen by this little line over here. So until this one is empty, this one's just going to receive items. So the entire stack makes its way around the loop, and let's see, if it's about 2.5 items per second, then each hopper is going to take about, let's see, 64. It's going to take like 20 seconds, a little bit more than 20 seconds, 25 seconds. So this whole loop should be about 2 minutes almost. Minute 40. I don't know. Maybe I've done my math wrong, but I think that's about right. So we should be good. The last thing I'll do here is make my little monostable circuit. This is a pulse shortener. It's another name for this. And same one I built last time. I will, yep, there, and then I just need dust and one final torch. So dust and final torch. So and I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna put a button on this so that I can trigger it manually if I want. Oh, but there it went off. Actually, let's take a look. It was good timing. Yeah, so I can go ahead and get rid of the cobblestone now, and I can basically, I've set this up so that I can only reach the stuff that I actually want to be mining. So I don't actually have my silk touch pick on me. I'll have to go get that later. Probably at the end of the episode we'll check back on this, and there will be a bit more ice here, and we'll grab a bunch of that ice. So, but I should be able to, if I put a button here. Oops. Oh, right. This thing is still on because there's still stuff in here. It's still emptying out, so not going to work just yet. I don't think I really need to test it, actually. The only thing I want to do is I want to have something that'll let me freeze the system, so I'm going to go ahead and just make a lever. Actually, I've already got levers in my inventory. If I just put a lever right, I don't know, here, I can freeze the entire clock by just doing this. It'll keep items from leaving this one, and it might go one more time. But I'm not going to freeze it right now, but it's nice to just have something like that. So the last thing I'm going to do off camera is just cover up everything that needs to be covered up with slabs, or light things up so that mobs won't spawn on this system, because I don't really want creepers blowing up all my redstone. So I'll be back with the next thing, and then at the end of the episode we'll come back and check this out, and we'll mine up a bunch of ice. Alright, we're back near spawn, and there is a task that I need to do. And so here we have a little pagoda. This is Zisto's map. This is the map of the entire island. Basically, if you don't know what's going on here, the MindCrackers agreed to stick to one island, or I guess there's kind of a couple auxiliary islands, but stick to one island until 1.7, because there were going to be terrain changes, so we wanted to just have just an area that would be 1.6 terrain, and then everything outside that would be 1.7 terrain. So this is the map, and I'm going to actually pop up here, and we're going to take a little closer look. And so let's see, actually I'm a little too high. So this, okay, a little bit more. This right here is where we are. You are here. Oh my, that's a little bit obnoxious. Oh, the borders of my screen are like not rendering the map sometimes. Okay, so this is where we are. I think right here, this is the Spawn Cathedral, and all the spawn buildings around Spawn. So my base is back behind the Spawn Cathedral. I think this is the plains where Good is setting up his UHC monuments, and so back here, looks like this is the area where my base is. I've noticed a lot more trees here than there are at my base. I think I'm gonna have to go update these maps so that it reflects my base a little bit more accurately. So I'll be right back once I've done that. Alright, now that's looking a little bit better. We got Good's UHC monument area, and we've got my base area. No trees. Cleared those out. There's that little speck of brown stuff is my base. You can see the Enterprise over here. In fact, you can even start to see the ice forming on top of that. So there we go, updated that. And let's see, so my base is in this one, which is red, and let's see, where is that? Lime green, I think? Or is that, oh, it's so hard to see. Can't line this up. Hold on, I need to like back off a little bit. I think that's lime green. Yeah, if you look at the bottom of this, yes, okay. So lime green and red is where my base is. And that's important because those are used as a coordinate system. So basically everybody has spots for their base on here. So let's see. I want to add mine in, and I just happen to have red and lime stained clay. The only thing is I need a spot. And let's see, Shriam. Okay, well, Shriam is no longer on the server. He didn't enter coordinates for his base or anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and take this spot. Sorry, Shri. And it happens to be right where my name is alphabetically, so that works out too. So let's see, what are people doing? Yellow is which coordinate? So yellow is the Z coordinate, I guess. People are doing the Z coordinate on the bottom. Okay, so Z, that means I go with, oh wait, this is not actually red, is it? Darn it. That one's red. So this one is, I guess, pink? So it looks like I need to make some pink stained wool, or stained clay instead. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab some pink stained clay. Alright, pink, lime, put up a sign, SethBling. My coordinates are 512, 160. And then we put up an item frame, and here's a little map that I made. This is a bit more zoomed in than the big map, and it's kind of cool. You can see there's the Enterprise. It's interesting, you can actually see the grass through, I think it's through the ring of lamps, of the redstone lamps. So you can see the grass through that. Then here's my base and the bridge and everything, so that's pretty cool. So there we go. I've got my thing labeled. It's interesting. I guess with the old item frames, it didn't take up the whole block. Now if you want to actually see the Z coordinate, you have to look on the side of the item frame. But there we go. I'm now part of the map, and I have a copy of this map, so I can update it just by looking at the map while I'm at my base, and that'll automatically update it here. And I also have copies of the maps that are near my base up on the big map, so I can update those as well. Pretty cool. Alright, so we're back at the farm, and one thing I wanted to mention was, with regards to lag, the cool thing about this whole piston setup is that basically once a row fills up, and you can see quite a few of the rows have filled up, like take for instance this row right here, it's 13 blocks in a row, so this piston doesn't push at all. So once the entire thing fills up, there isn't going to be any lag at all from the pistons. The pistons aren't going to extend. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of lag from I say a lag, but I just mean like a little bit of computing power used from the redstone over here. But really, that's inconsequential. So the cool thing about this is once it's all completely full, it's just not going to cause any problems at all. I also added a couple chests down here. These are both regular chests and redstone chests. And the reason, basically I forgot to do that before, when the piston pushes down, it can't push the chests, so that'll prevent it from like pushing down a bunch of ice through the face of the Starship Enterprise. The other thing is, I think I forgot to show you guys what the view is from up here. You can kind of see my entire base from here, and it looks pretty cool. You have like the bridge that I built in last episode, there's my enchanting table, my farm. I guess the animals are too far away to render, in my storage system and everything, so I think it looks pretty cool, and as I add more stuff to my base, it's going to be fun to see the view from up here. And you can kind of see the snow biome, the taiga biome. It's not so much a snow biome anymore from up here, but pretty cool view. Alright, it's the moment of truth. Well, the moment of reckoning, I guess. I've got my Silk Touch pick, efficiency 4, unbreaking 3. I think this is going to be fun. Here we go. Alright, so I set this up basically so that I could just do this, and I could hear the pistons going off still. And I can just like break a bunch of ice all at once. This is awesome. The cool thing about this is I'm going to get probably most of my inventory here filled up with this ice. So, and that's going to be more than enough ice to last me quite a long time. So I don't plan on coming up here to mine this very often, so it did actually take several hours of being away from the keyboard, but being logged in order to get all this stuff here, which is pretty slow for the ice, but it's a lot of ice, and so by the time I run out of an inventory full of ice, I would imagine this thing will have refilled, and I can just come back up here and grab more ice. So, man, I'm not even not even like halfway. There we go. Ooh, it's a lot of ice. And the cool thing about the chests over here on the ground is that if I do fill up my inventory while I'm doing this, then I can just put the ice in there. I think with the full, if the entire ice farm is full, I have about 27 or 28 stacks of ice. It's 13 times 20 times 6. Because there's 6 rows. So that's, yeah, quite a bit of ice. But I'll probably have to take a little bit of time off camera after the episode to clean up all the little extra bits of ice. I don't actually have to, I guess. I could just leave them there. There's nothing wrong with just leaving extra ice there. But, okay, let's take a look around. Let me make sure I grab all the ice. Look at my inventory. About half full. And after cleaning all this extra stuff up, I imagine it'll be probably closer to 2/3 or 3/4 full. Pretty cool. It's very satisfying. It's very satisfying to knock down all this ice. And I imagine it'll be even more satisfying once the whole thing is full. Anyway, I guess that's about it for this episode. Let's see how much we got. Yeah, about half the inventory, not including the hotbar. So there we go. It's USS Enterprise. That's about it. Thanks for watching.